Hello, welcome. I'm Kyle Michael, and this is going to be a special video. I know I haven't had a chance to do these as often as I'd like over the past year or so, but I've been doing some very important work, and anyway, here I am. And I'm excited to announce, taking some time, but thank you all for subscribing, because I've reached the 1,000 mark. This is really cool, and let's see if we can get it even more. If you're new to this channel, like and share and subscribe. So today I'm going to be talking about karma, real karma, right? So when you think of karma from a religious sense, or maybe some would classify as a spiritual sense, oftentimes karma is thought in such a particular way, where the actions that you do in this life will affect your next life. Right? If we think about reincarnation, it is our karma, our actions, how we live, affect who we will become in the next life. Right? And so maybe if you look at it from that standpoint, the human being is, I guess, it would be considered a higher level being. And so if you lived a good life as whatever, eventually you get to human, and but it's interesting too, because the goal of it all is to reach nirvana, which is the ending of the rebirth cycle, right? But either way, that is what would be considered maybe some of the more religious ways of looking at it. And I'm not here to necessarily put any judgment on any religion. I know that it can be a very powerful and helpful thing for many people. I myself personally don't really consider myself religious. Maybe, but spiritual, yes. But I may have my own ways of looking at it, of spirituality. But when it comes to the concept of karma, and by the way, where I'm at today in my life, I'd like to put it out there that I really have no desire to give necessarily advice or say that this is how one should think, but just simply present different ideas out there for you to play with yourself. And if they work for you, great. If they don't, that's absolutely okay. Right? Everyone has their different experiences and what will work for them. So these are just my thoughts, and play with them. That being said, karma. Gotta try to stay on topic the best I can. So real karma. Well, I guess how I would look at it is kind of cause and effect, right? And when I say real karma, that isn't necessarily to say that other ways of thinking about karma aren't real, as I said. But this is what makes the most sense, because we can see it directly in this life. It can be tested, and it can be visually seen. Cause and effect, right? What comes to my mind when I think of karma is you have two different people. You have the one person who comes from a place of sincere empathy and compassion, non-judgment and caring. Maybe not a perfect person, because who is? But this person on this side, if you were to think about this person, you'd think they really cared about their fellow man, and they wanted absolutely nothing in return for their care. I guess it would be close to altruism is possible, right? Some people may argue, can you truly be fully altruistic? And that's another conversation. But it's close to it. You get this person, right? You know, they really want to leave the world better because they lived. You know, the world is a better place because they lived. That's this person. Okay? Now you have this person on this side. Kind of the opposite. They might do some pretty cool things and be successful and stuff. That being said, you know, you could be a very good person, successful, and successful, not a very good person, and vice versa, whatever, you know. But this person, we'll say that financially they've done well, but they've also done it in such a way where they screwed a lot of people over to get to where they are. And they have very little empathy. In fact, maybe the way that they operate is simply, you know, completely, I want to win, and I feel better about myself. This person feels better about themselves when they're feel like they're winning or pushing someone down. That makes them feel better, right? They're rude. They use, and the way they look at somebody is, what can I get from you? And if they feel like they can't get anything from you, then they have no use of you, and they will easily discard. That's this person. Okay. So you have this person over here, and you have the, what we say more of an altruistic person over here. Okay. Now, where does karma come into play? Time and cause and effect. Because if we think about this life as being the only life there is, can't say we know that for sure, but from what it seems, to the best of our ability, that's what most we have to go off of. It appears to me. And so, and even if there is more, I don't necessarily think it's wrong to look at life that way, because it allows us to concentrate. I don't know if it does us very much good to think about doing great things for the next life. I mean, hey, if that's what helps you do great things, continue thinking that way. Or doing nice things, good things, helpful things, meaningful things. But I also can see it being incredibly powerful to not necessarily concern yourself that much, but to say what matters is here. This moment has meaning because this moment is all that there is. Everything else is just in the mind, but in reality, this moment. And then we could question, well, how real is that? Because we're limited in our perception. But either way, when we're looking at karma of the two individuals, all we have is what we can create in this life. And I believe that a big part of our creations, the things that we find meaningful, are our connections with one another. And for instance, this one. So say they have a lot of money, but their connections they have with others aren't very meaningful. In a situation like that, would you feel as if, yeah, you have a lot of money, but not meaningful relationships? Was that a well-lived life? Maybe. I'm sure there's some out there that be just content with just a lot of money, but what about the majority? What good is $1 million if you don't have one person that sincerely cares for you? And for someone that you sincerely care for. So let's take it back to this one. So they've screwed people over throughout their lives. And it was always get, take, win. And they've chased everyone away. Even the ones that sincerely cared. And time brings karma. Because eventually that person, I imagine, by the way they live their life, they'd end up alone. Probably more angry and more bitter than ever. Because someone like that is probably everyone else, right? Everyone else is the problem. And their anger and their bitterness further isolates them. Their karma. Now we have over here this one. Their karma appears to be quite different. The way they lived life, the way they cared and expressed their way of being and their compassion towards their fellow man. They have relationships. People appreciate who they are. They've lived their life in such a way where it was important for them to make others feel good about themselves. And listen, people won't always remember exactly what you said or even exactly what you did. But people will always remember how you made them feel. And karma absolutely comes from that, because how have you made other people feel throughout this life? And no one's perfect. I am a living witness. I have been hurt in my life, and I have hurt others. But who do we become from those experiences? And how do those experiences help us grow to be better people? Because if you don't learn from the mistakes, and when I think about my mistakes always had to do with my interactions with others. And oftentimes when I pinpoint it, it usually came out of a selfish place, those negative interactions. And I paid for it with karma. You know, when a relationship that you cared about ends, probably rightfully so, because of some of the actions that you took. I mean, if you care, you pay for that. You know? But at the very least, you can grow from it. It can help you learn how to interact, how to be moving forward with those that you care about. Right? That makes sense. But either way, what I'm trying to, I guess, communicate is that karma, in a sense, is very real. And it has to do with how we live and treat one another in this life. And also how we treat ourselves as well. But how we treat one another That really makes a huge difference. And this does not mean that, when I think to myself of this person, it doesn't mean that they're some pushover. Oh, they just, they're nice to everyone. No. I'm talking about strength with kindness. The karma that comes from that. Because you could see this guy right here, right? This person on this side. And you see this person over here. We could look at it from one angle and think that this one, the more altruistic one, would be an easy target for this one. But that does not have to be the case. You should be mindful of others, because it is incredibly unfortunate, but there are some people out there that get pleasure out of hurting others, unfortunately. But usually that comes from a very deep, dark, low place, insecurity. The most insecure person usually is the most narcissistic, right? But that being said, I wanted to point that out because unfortunately we live in a day where kindness is considered a weakness. Never. No one should always be strong enough and do their best to be wise enough to know when to walk away from someone who does not have your best interest in mind. And sometimes walking away is still having the other person's best interest in mind. Because it's a bad lesson to teach someone that they can treat you any way that they like, with zero respect. Sometimes the best lesson they can learn is karma. Sometimes the most powerful lesson one can learn is in the loss. Realizing that their actions have consequences. Now that also requires someone that has more ethics and morals for them to learn from their mistakes. But, and I believe that most do. And so with that, maybe there's even hope for this one. If they can learn in the midst of their loneliness, if they can realize maybe it was the way they treated people, and sure, maybe they found success. But what good is that if you don't have anyone sincere to experience that with? If you don't have someone that sincerely loves you for you, whatever that may mean too, because we're always learning and growing. But if you ever just love someone, not wanting anything, not a transactional love, it's a pretty powerful feeling. And I guess everything maybe a touch transactional in a sense, but in a good way, if that makes sense. Like, I do this for you because it makes me feel good. I guess, yes, that's transactional, but that's a good transaction. But I digress. I hope this video has been clear and coherent. It's been a while, so maybe I'm just allowing all these different thoughts to come forth. And as I said, I've been through a lot in this last year and a half or so. A lot of growth. A lot of lessons. But one thing I've learned, I've learned a few things, but in regards to karma, is that how you treat others affects how the world and universe and how others treat you. And I know we live in hard times, weird times. I guess every time is a pretty weird time, honestly, but this is a weird one too. But with that being said, I think how we connect with one another is so important, especially since we live in a world where where we are able to connect with so many, so easily, more so than ever before. I mean, I'm able to speak to you all, and you're able to, interact with me. That's really cool. But that also puts us in a place where it's like, what kind of communication do we want to spread? And it's my hope that the communication that I spread is positive and, perhaps helps others along the way. What do I get out of it? Well, it makes me feel pretty good. And hopefully, I feel like I get something from it too. All right. I'm going to end that there. But karma, it's real. How you treat others, how you live, will affect you down the road in some way, shape, or form. Every action has an equal positive or negative reaction in some way, shape, or form. And you may do something and you could think, well, no one will know. But you'll know. And you'll live life and respond a little differently with that knowledge. And it will have an effect down the road, some way, shape, or form. Karma's real. In this life. Alright. Thank you all. If you have any questions about hypnotherapy, you can email me still at kylemichael@magicminds.com. If you happen to be in the California area, well, actually, I'm going to hold off on that for now. But yeah. Like, share, and subscribe. And make sure to keep going and keep growing. To live life and love life. Alright, until next time. Peace.